It's the Robert Saviola Show, sponsored by Buffalo Hypnosis. And now, from the beautiful studios of WBEN, here's Robert.
Good morning and welcome to the Robert Saviola Show. My name is Eric Polanski. Again, we are going to have a guest with us today, all the way from the West Coast, Dr. Katherine Albrecht, a consumer privacy expert. Dr. Albrecht is a Harvard graduate. She received a master's in education at Harvard University. She is a public speaker, a media commentator, a technology expert, author, radio personality. She's on the Dr. Katherine Albrecht Show, Monday through Friday, 4 to 6 p.m. on the Genesis Communication Network. Her books include Spy Chips, How Major Corporations and Government Plan to Track Your Every Move with RFID Chips, and The Spy Chip Threat, Why Christians Should Resist RFID and Electronic Surveillance. I didn't mention that you were a Christian, Katherine. Congratulations on that. But you're also a member or the director of CASPIAN, which is, can you tell us, please? Katherine, I'm sorry. How are you this morning?
Yeah, absolutely. CASPIAN, and by the way, it's a delight to be on your show, Eric. I'm so thrilled to be able to speak to you and your listeners this morning.
Thank you.
CASPIAN is a 20,000-member consumer privacy organization that I started back in 1999. It stands for, it's a mouthful, it's Consumers Against Supermarket Privacy Invasion and Numbering, which is a lot easier to just say CASPIAN. We're online. Our first website was at nocards.org, and the reason for that is all the way back in 1999, I became aware that these supermarket frequent shopper cards, the ones that, the club cards or the so-called discount cards that they were giving out to people, were really kind of a scam. And what those cards are all about is recording all of the things that you purchase. And through them, the supermarkets and the big corporations that own the supermarkets have made these detailed, incredibly complicated, and incredibly privacy-invading lists of information about us. They've got these databases that tell them everything from when you had a baby to whether you might be pregnant, to whether you have a cat, to whether you've developed, stomach trouble or whatever it is. They do all of this through recording all the things that we buy with the frequent shopper cards. So I actually wound up writing my doctoral dissertation at Harvard University on the topic of supermarket frequent shopper cards, and it's kind of a dubious distinction, but I am the world's expert on the privacy problems associated with supermarket frequent shopper cards, of all things. And then from there, I discovered back in 2003, a couple years into doing the CASPIAN work that I was doing, I discovered that the retail industry was about to make a big shift in an even further privacy-invading direction. That whereas before, and I'll give you a quote, this was by a guy named John Sturmer, who was the vice president for the A.C. Nielsen Research Company. They're the people who do all the market research.
Okay.
And I read a quote. I was actually writing an article on shopper cards for the Denver University Law Review, and I ran across this quote. And he said, first there was the barcode, which did a really good job of telling us what was being sold in the store. And then along came the frequent shopper card, which did a really good job of telling us who specifically was buying each of those individual products. He said, but there's a new technology on the horizon that will tell us not only who buys what, but it'll tell us how they use those products in their homes. And I have to say, Eric, a chill went down my spine because I said, well, hang on a second. The stuff that I buy in the supermarket and at the drugstore, I take home and I use in my bathroom and my kitchen. You got to be kidding me. These people want to watch me even there. And that uncovered a whole rabbit hole of information that I've now spent the last 10 years of my life working on. What I discovered was that Procter & Gamble and Walmart and, you name it, Coca-Cola and Kodak and basically every major corporation on the globe had gotten together behind closed doors without the public's awareness to create a new system of product tracking called RFID, or radio frequency identification. We call them spy chips. the plan that I discovered back in 2003, and I talk about the whole discovery and all the things that we found in our book, Spy Chips, which I recommend people get, even if they need to get it from a library. But in the book Spy Chips, what we detail are 30,000 different documents that my co-author, Liz McIntyre, and I found as we began to research this new technology. And we discovered that there is a plan afoot to equip every physical object manufactured on planet Earth, so every Bic pen, every jumbo jet, every sewing needle, in the words of the industry itself, would be equipped with a tiny tracking microchip. And this sounds like something out of a Tom Cruise movie, like science fiction, but it's absolutely true that they are calling it the electronic product code. It's a tiny microchip hooked up to a miniature antenna that would be placed into objects instead of or in addition to the barcode, that would enable those objects to be tracked in warehouses as they move from, China into
Right.
Walmart distribution centers, would enable them to be tracked on store shelves, would enable them to be tracked as you leave the store, and then ultimately would enable them to be tracked as you take them out of your cupboard in your kitchen, out of your refrigerator, out of your medicine cabinet. And of course, the end point, once you begin studying tracking microchips to be embedded into things, what you quickly discover is that there are plans afoot to embed microchips into human beings.
Uh-oh.
And so we led, and I'll give people a couple of websites.
Katherine, let's hold on and let's come back after a break, and you can give the websites. You are the leading expert in the world on this stuff, and it is quite a pleasure to have you on today. But we'll be right back on the Robert Saviola Show, Radio 930, WBEN 107.7 on the FM. Thank you. Hello, welcome back to the Robert Saviola Show. We are with guest Dr. Katherine Albrecht, the world's top privacy expert. She's quite a phenomenal individual. I've seen her, I've listened to her speak, and she's very captivating. What she has is cutting-edge information on the technological advancements that corporations are making towards this new world order, and how basically they're going to manage the system. Katherine, when we started earlier, we were talking about CASPIAN. Now that's something that we here in Western New York can get involved in with you. Can you tell us maybe how to contact you as far as your information on CASPIAN goes, or how to get involved, please?
Absolutely. We have in the past done protests and statewide activities. We've introduced legislation that would make it a crime for governments to require microchips to be implanted into people. That legislation is passed in a number of states. Unfortunately, New York is not one of them, so we'd certainly love to get people involved there. If you'd like to see the one-page legislation on that, it's titled the Bodily Integrity Act, and I'd like to give people a website where they can learn more about
Sure.
how they could get involved on that score. You can go to antichips.com or antichips.com. That is our website that opposes the implantation of microchips in human beings. And I know a lot of people roll their eyes and go, nobody's putting chips in humans. Well, the reality is they were, and we put a stop to it. Our CASPIAN chapter down in the state of Florida got together, and we protested outside of an Alzheimer's care facility where they actually were injecting 200 Alzheimer's patients, people who had no ability to say no or give informed consent. They were literally injecting microchips into their arms. So we were able to stop that with a protest. You can see all the details at antichips.com. And when you're there, click on legislation and navigate to the Bodily Integrity Act. And what I love about this bill, it's a piece of legislation, but it is literally a one-page PDF in plain English. So there's nothing complicated. You don't have to be a lawyer. And what has happened around the country is CASPIAN members have printed out the Bodily Integrity Act and handed it to their lawmakers. And then that bill has been introduced and passed in various forms in states around the country. So that's a quick and easy way for people to see how they could get involved. We are also next week going to be protesting the implantation of microchips in ID cards for students in San Antonio, Texas, where everywhere they go, they're going to be tracked by a network of readers in the schools. And we think that that's very bad conditioning. Again, young people can't give informed consent. They can't opt out. They cannot say no. And we think it is unethical to test this technology on them as guinea pigs. So we're opposing that as well in San Antonio. And if anybody's on Facebook, it's San Antonio Spy Chips is where you can find more about that. And finally, I want to let people know that all over the country, J.C. Penney stores, which have been struggling financially, have announced that they are going to be the first retail store to implement this on every product in the store, that everything will be equipped with a remotely readable tracking microchip. They will not be disabling them as you leave the store. They're going to tell you it's going to make it more convenient. You don't have to use cash. You can just waltz through the door and pay for things without a cashier. They're laying off all their cashiers at Penny's. That's part of the plan to save money. And then they're going to send you home with a device attached to your products that can literally be read through the walls. So if somebody's in a hotel room, the person next to you could be inventorying everything in your suitcase silently and invisibly. So it's very dangerous technology. We are calling for a boycott against J.C. Penney's in response to this. And I would urge people to contact them and say that they don't want to be part of this. Finally, I should end on a positive note, because it's always a little bit, discouraging to hear about these technical developments. But one place where we have made huge inroads is on the Internet. And if people are using Google, what you need to realize is that you've got the database that has been created by Google is the largest database ever created in the history of humanity. Google knows more about us than the NSA, the IRS, the FBI combined. They figure all of that out.
I think maybe they share information too.
But they figure it out through your searches. So we've developed Startpage.com, which is a private portal to Google that doesn't track any of your personal information. And that's StartPage, Startpage.com.
And that is a search engine?
It is a search engine that returns Google results. So it accesses Google privately. So when you access Google, Google can see who you are and what you search for. So if you search for bankruptcy or drug addiction or who knows, whatever, marriage counseling, they go, well, we'll add that to your profile. Interesting, having trouble in your marriage? Well, that's very relevant. We'll make a note of that. When you search with Startpage takes your query for marriage counseling, submits it anonymously to Google, gets the results, scrubs away all the tracking cookies and all the things that could invade your privacy, and returns them to you with 100% privacy. So we do not record. I helped to develop Startpage as kind of an antidote to some of the stuff going on out there. I encourage people to make it their homepage. You can add it to your browser. And we encourage people to just say no, kind of take that Google needle out of your arm that everybody's so addicted to, because you're just feeding a huge database of information every time you search there. And we are coming out with a new email program to compete with Gmail in 2013. That email, people don't realize everything you write to or from a Gmail account, Google reads the email and takes all the facts in it and adds those to your profile also. So if you attach a PDF or a scan of your medical records, Google will say, oh, cool, now we've got his medical records too, and they'll put those in your file. And that's all in the fine print of the agreement when you sign up for Gmail. So we've got a new email program that will be completely encrypted, totally private. Nobody will read your email. That's coming out in 2013.
So you don't have a name for that yet, do you?
We're hoping it'll be in the very beginning of the year, so January, February. And what we're going to do is roll it out first in beta form. So we do have a limited number of spots available for beta testers. If your listeners would like to sign up and become beta testers, so they get the first announcement and the first opportunity to kick the tires for free and let us know what they think, they can do that by emailing this address. It's beta, B-E-T-A, like alpha beta, B-E-T-A, at startpage.com. And and when you write that email, beta at startpage.com, just mention that you heard Katherine today on WBEN, and we will go ahead and confirm that with a letter to you, and you'll be the first to hear.
Excellent. Thanks, Katherine. Well, I would love to talk to you longer. I can fit in another quick question, which I would like, if you can answer within a minute, simply, what's wrong with being tracked?
Well, it's wild that we live in a time when people even ask the question. When you are tracked, people call say it's about freedom. But I say freedom is not an end. Freedom is a means, or excuse me, privacy. It's not about privacy. It's about freedom. And the privacy is the means through which you keep your freedom. So when people infringe your privacy, normally it means that they're obtaining information about you. Information is power. And once somebody knows every move that you make and everything that you do, then the obvious next step that they have engaged in, and governments always do this, is an effort to control and restrict what you can do, restrict your movements, restrict who you can associate with, punish you.
Well, how can we reach you, Katherine? How can we get a hold of you, the top privacy expert in the world? Do you any way we can reach you?
I have a daily radio program. I invite people to call in. My website for the show is kmashow.com. That's KMA. Those are my initials, show.com. Or you can just look up KatherineAlbrecht.com. And on the website, there is information there about how you can email me or how you can post a message. You can also read my blog on there. And we've got 5 years' worth of audio archives to listen to for free at KMAshow.com. So I encourage people to roll up their sleeves and get involved.
Thank you very much for joining us. We hope we speak again in the future. God bless you, and I hope that you continue what you're doing, and I hope you get the support you need, because what you're doing is well worth it. And thank you very much, Katherine.
Well, thank you for all that you're doing over there, Eric, and thanks to the radio station as well and all your listeners. God bless you.
Thank you. You too. Bye-bye.
All right. Welcome to the Robert Saviola Show for the last segment, and I'm here straight from Florida with Eric up in Buffalo at the studio. Thought I'd start off the segment. Want to talk a little bit about what's going on with Ron Paul. And I don't know if you've been paying attention or not, but apparently in Massachusetts, and this is where Mitt Romney is from, they've decided to take away all 16 legal delegates that Ron Paul has for the convention. And now, did you hear about this, Eric?
Yes, I did, Robert. It's quite interesting.
Now, they did it in Maine last week. Now they're doing it in Massachusetts, and the Ron Paul people who have worked their butts off are now going to another court. They're supposed to hear this before Tampa. But what I don't understand is how you can get something legally done the right way for you, and how someone else who could just take it away. I mean, I just don't understand how do they just take it away? And that's what's happening in our government all the way through now. We have Obama doing executive order after executive order. He's bypassing the Constitution left and right. We have Ron Paul, who's done things the right way, and his people have been brilliant in the campaign strategies that they've had, because it looked like Romney's automatically the nomination, but it wasn't over yet. But now they're saying, well, wait a minute. Ron Paul still has a shot here to beat us. We got to stop this. And that's what they're doing. And as far as I'm concerned, Eric, I think this is outright war, and I personally believe if you go to any poll, like there's a poll right now up on AOL, and it says, who would you rather have president, Ron Paul or Mitt Romney? And it's 92% Ron Paul, 4% Mitt Romney.
That's a big number. That's a big difference there. What's the plus minus on the...
It doesn't matter. You know, it just doesn't matter. But when you talk to people, and people would rather have Ron Paul. Now, I'm concerned because here's a man that the people want for president and is being squelched. And as far as I'm concerned, if Ron Paul doesn't run third party, it's crazy. He should. He'll take Obama's votes. He'll take Romney's votes. He's going to get all the independent votes. Neither candidate can live. This is not a Ross Perot scenario. This isn't where Obama will win then because the conservatives will just split between Romney and Ron Paul, because there's half the Democrats out there that are going to vote for Ron Paul.
Exactly. That's a great point. You know, he breaks that he breaks the dividers. Whatever barriers are put up by whoever, he breaks them.
You're right. He's totally breaking the dividers. And it's disturbing to me how every single law that's on the book, all the constitutional amendments and the Constitution itself and the Bill of Rights, how everything is just thrown under the bus. Nobody cares. Nobody pays attention. People do as they wish, and everybody stays out of it. Now, you or I, we jaywalk, and there's a SWAT team on us. But these guys, they can do whatever they like, and nothing gets said or done about it. You want to see a movie? Go see the movie Campaign with Will Ferrell. I think it was Will Ferrell's best role. What it does, and I'm not going to spoil the movie for you, but it shows you how politics really works, how it's never about the issues, and it's a personal attack on one another. They showed how bad the Republicans and the Democrats could be. I think they showed the Republicans in a little better light, which I was shocked. But the point is, it was all bad. And you got to see the movie because in the one scene, I'm just going to say this one scene where Will Ferrell is losing his mind because he looks like he's going to lose the election. He fires his campaign manager. His manager is going to hire this kid straight out of college, internship. And the kid says, do you know? And then, well, by the way, Will Ferrell's a Democrat candidate. He says, do you know that in this country, we actually reward companies with tax breaks and ship jobs overseas, and then we're losing like 7 million jobs? And Will Ferrell goes ballistic and says, get the F out of here, and throws him out because he didn't want to hear anything about facts. He wanted to hear about how he can slander his opponent.
That's all it's about, really. And when you look at it, Robert, they're all friends. They're friends. That's all there is to it. And I wish it wasn't so. I wish that there really was this pull. But I mean, I think that really that's all just show for us. When you look at the similarities between Mitt Romney and Barack Obama, listen, I wish it wasn't so, but they're so similar, especially in the health care plan and stuff like that. You know, there's really one candidate that does stick out, and as far as the media is concerned, they want to just bury him. You know, they come out pretty much every month, and they're talking about, Romney's the candidate, Romney won, Romney swept. But you don't hear about the states that Ron Paul won. You don't even hear about him. So there is an effort. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, you're right. You don't even hear Ron Paul's name. And the shocking thing about this, Eric, and all the listeners out there that's listening to this show, is you may not realize it, but Ron Paul is by far the favored candidate amongst Americans. He just scores off the charts and polls. And when they were doing the primaries, Ron Paul would have 5,000 people show up, and these other guys would have a couple of hundred. And nobody's making. There's no cameras. There's nothing. You're being duped. The bankers are choosing who your candidates are. This is the bankers. I'm telling you right now, people are being bought left and right. Do you think Romney picked Paul Ryan to be his VP? He did not. The bankers picked it. Why they didn't pick Ron Paul or Alan West is beyond me. But they didn't want Ron Paul, and for some reason they didn't want Alan West. They picked Paul Ryan. So there's a reason for it. They want to make this as close as possible. They don't care who wins. Both of them are in their pockets. They're deciding what's going on.
Right.
People just don't realize this.
That's what happens when you're stuck on TV. That's what happens when you don't veer off the dial. That's the way it goes. You know, these issues aren't ever brought up. And, thank God for your show, Robert, because that gives Western New York an opportunity to hear something other than that's been peddled out of Washington already.
Yeah, we're in trouble because even if Romney wins, we may see America slow down losing its sovereignty. But it's still lost. I mean, we're still losing everything we can possibly lose. There's executive order after executive order that Obama's putting in. Now, you heard about the rumor that there might be a fake assassination attempt. Have you heard about that?
No, I'm sorry, I have not.
All over the Internet, they're talking about how there might be a fake attempt on Obama. That's not true. It's just totally fake, so that he can implement martial law and stop this election from taking place. Because Vegas has Romney in a landslide.
Well, let me ask you this: what's the odds?
To win this election, and it's because of the anybody but Obama mentality. That's why. Because people are like anybody but Obama, so they're putting somebody that's just like him in there.
Well, speaking of Vegas, I wanted to know what the odds were on the president's chance of survival coming out of this presidency. Hey, nobody really wants to talk about, these are issues that they bring up, okay, Robert? It's not like you and I are sitting here planning on how to do anything. But that's the thing is you really got to watch out about everything you say. I mean, any word that pops up, you could say, oh, that was the bomb, but the word bomb pops up, and they know what's happening, and they'll look into it. And however many times you say that word could mean that you could be a terrorist. And, they're so busy watching us, and it's not that they're looking to find out what we're doing wrong. It's they want to know if we know what they're doing wrong. That's the real issue, that you're having these privacy issues like we had with Dr. Katherine Albrecht earlier. The fear is not that the people are out of line. The fear is that we know that they're out of line.
Well, that's what it is. And right now we have 320 million Americans in this country, and they're looking for a way to control us. And they're looking for every way they can possibly do it, and it's up to us to stand together against that. Down here in Florida, I'm talking to sheriffs left and right, and they're all concerned about our sovereignty and about Americans being led to slavery. Talking to them, and they know what's going on.
Amen.
But I know we're coming to the end of the show here, so on my end, I want to say God bless everybody, and I'll see you next week.
Well, God bless everybody. And just to, Robert, you brought it up. We're planning on bringing Sheriff Richard Mack to town. I just want Western New York to know that. I would like to have the sheriffs there free of charge. And we would like to have something happen here where the freedom becomes a hot issue and is actually pursued rather than forgotten. So thank you, everybody. God bless you. Robert, want to sign off again, please?
Yeah, you guys have a great week. We'll talk to you next week. Take care.
Thank you. Robert Saviola Show, Radio 930, WBEN, and 107.7 FM. Thank you, everybody.
You and I have a rendezvous with destiny.